So, welcome back to this market update. There we go. That's a little less distracting. So, it's been a big week in Washington. There's Jay Inslee's live right now, actually answering questions. Had to dash out of there a little bit early and get over here to you guys. So, hope you're all having a great day. Just wanted to give you a quick update on some of the stuff that's going on in Washington real estate. Go ahead and share my screen here. And all right. So this week in housing. So just breaking news, Washington will reopen in four phases, Jay Inslee says. And the governor went live today at 2:30 talking about his plan for reopening the economy in Washington. He also extended the stay-at-home order through May 31st, but he did outline a plan. He has a four-phased approach, and real estate. I know it's a little hard to read on on this screen here, but it's real estate shows up again in full force in phase 2, so long as social distancing is observed. So we will see a continuation of social distancing. This will continue to be part of our vocabulary for quite a while until basically there's a vaccine or some sort of treatment, which I heard today that they're looking at the possibility of January having a vaccine or treatment in place. So they've made some pretty good progress on that, because before that I was hearing 3 to 5 years. So that's good to hear. And yeah, we're still seeing market activity. This is divided up by residential and condo in King County. So you can see the new listings coming on the market there. There's quite a few, 462 for residential and 136 condos. So there are homes coming on the market, and going pending, but you can still see the pending line is larger than the new listings coming on the market, which is before pre-COVID, we had a pretty severe shortage of inventory available. There was not a lot of inventory, and buyer demand exceeded what was available on the market. And with COVID, we saw a lot of homeowners take their homes off the market, reducing the inventory more. A lot of the homes that have gone on the market have sold. It's kind of surprising how fast some of these are selling. It's crazy. And if we combine those numbers, you can see how far the pending line extends beyond the new listing. So that just means we're losing inventory to purchases faster than we can get it on the market. There's just not much available for buyers that are looking. And this, you can see this is the new listing graph. The gray is last year and the blue is this year. And yeah, you can see it's new listings come on certain times of the week generally. So that's why you'll see this wave. But we had this just shows that we are not getting enough new inventory on the market to satisfy buyer demand. And this is showing traffic since the beginning of the year. So this is buyer activity. You can see we are kind of headed up on our normal spring incline, and then all of a sudden COVID hits and we drop off to very, very low showings. And then now since we've found ways to work around the challenges that have been prevented or that have prevented us from showing homes before, some of those restrictions were loosened a little bit, and realtors are embracing the use of masks and gloves and using sanitizing practices and booties for touring homes. So with all these workarounds, it's making people feel safer to go out and look at homes again. So this is obviously national numbers, but the dark blue is strong buyer traffic, the light blue is stable, and the gray, which there's none here, is weak. So you can see this is in March, but this is the February seller traffic, and you can see that there's some areas that are stable, but most of them had pretty weak traffic. But if we move forward for the sellers to March, no homes are coming on the market. And that's a nationwide thing. This is an anomaly. And to see this whole map gray is kind of shocking. Well, maybe not shocking, but it's not a lot of sellers are putting their homes on the market right now. But as I said before, the industry is adapting. We're finding workarounds for the challenges that are presented to us. Taught my second webinar. I've taught a lot of home buyer classes, but I have taught my second webinar this past Monday. And you can see there's all these signs, private showings only. These are the types of things that are being marketed to me right now, things that are being used in the industry. So private showings, call for appointment, that sort of thing. And I did mention this last week, but I just wanted to touch on it again. These are some of the forms that my office is using. We have a questionnaire for buyers before they go and view the property. Have you been out of the country? Answer these questions. And then for the visitor registration, this is to be completed by buyers and brokers showing listings. If it's the day of, this needs to be signed before showings happen at a lot of listings. And as far as where we're going, I mentioned this one again last week, but recession does not equal housing crisis. In fact, we are obviously in a recession right now. A lot of people have lost their jobs and a lot of people are under a lot of stress. I understand that. But as far as how it specifically affects housing, out of the last 5 recessions, home values only decreased on 2 of them, and they only decreased significantly on the last one. The only reason people are concerned about that is that's the one that's the freshest in our minds. But it's not nearly the same setup. This is a health crisis, not a housing crisis. And as far as when we're going to come back, a lot of the highest assumed economists out there are calling for a V-shaped recovery. There's all these other terms, checkmark W, tick, flying W. A lot of them are new, made up just for this instance here. And it's just, economists are trying to find a way to describe what they think is going to happen. But basically, all of the big wigs agree that Q2 is going to be a pretty rough quarter. And that Q3, we might see some we'll see some improvement. As far as how much improvement, some of the economy predictors disagree on that, and understandably so. There's a lot of things to weigh here when looking at when we're going to come back from this. There's like the economy factor, but there's also health factor and social factors, as far as guessing when people are going to feel confident going out in public again is a really hard thing to guess. But you can see here, these are just a few quotes from Zillow, John Burns Consulting, Harvard Business Review, all basically talking about how they think it'll be a pretty quick recovery for the most part. Maybe the first little bit will be quick and then the rest will be gradual, but people overall, most economists think we're going to bounce back from this pretty quickly. And although the uncertainty of the crisis means forecasts of economic activity are more unclear than usual, we expect that most of the economic damage from the virus will be contained to the first half of the year. Going forward, we should see recovery starting in the second half of 2020. And that is the chief economist of Freddie Mac. So you can see most of the economists have a pretty optimistic view about how quickly we are going to bounce back from this. And again, if you have any questions, I really do love talking about real estate. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have or just have a dialogue. If you have any questions about how this might affect you and your decision to move or not, I'm an open book. I'm happy to talk about it and talk about the benefits and drawbacks of moving during this time and see if it's the right thing for you. So I encourage you, once again, please reach out. I'm looking forward, I'm enjoying these little updates. So I'll be back here again next Friday at 3 p.m. And we'll have a little bit more news then about how this newest, Jay Inslee's newest announcement affects our world. So we'll go ahead and wait on that and see how that unfolds. And I will report back to you next week. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Sarah Eggleston with John L. Scott. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Talk to you then.